one. From Boston, Massachusetts to Adelaide, Australia, and everywhere in between. Talking local and national sports and just about anything discussed in a tavern. Broadcasting from South Lyon, Michigan. Welcome to Easy Speak at Speakeasy 330 with your hosts, Rich and Tom.
Hey, welcome back.
What is happening, Richard Jasper?
Hey, there's nothing much happening here. So let's bring on our guest for the second week in a row. Oh, by the way, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
Our other guest coming in right now is Andrew's coming back tonight for another round.
There we go.
How you doing, Andrew?
You know, I'm all right. Survived thought I was going to have a heart attack in the Ohio State football game, but hey, they pulled it out, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's a game. I mean, I lost that in one of the other shows with RiverCity-Media. I bet on those games, and let's just say I wasn't too great with it.
Holy God!
I think I selected every team that lost.
I feel sorry for the person who took the under in that game.
Oh yeah.
Well, it changed before the halftime. It went up to 98 and a half.
Yeah, but if you had it before the game started,
it ended up falling just short of that.
Good God, I've never seen our defense play that bad. I don't think I've ever seen Ohio State's defense play. I mean, it was touchdown. It was points. Like, holy God.
We haven't had a good defense all year. I mean, this isn't anything new.
No,
Oregon torched them in week 2. So
no, our defense wasn't what it was, or hasn't been what it has been. But we fired
our defense.
We fired the offensive line coach today. Ohio State did. So
I like how Andrew refers to him as our. Like it's like this is my football team.
Yeah.
Nobody else my input.
It's Andrew got on the bat phone and was like, "Hey, look, everybody, the offensive line looked like shit.
They did,
and he got to go.
Shit.
He got to go." But
I mean,
yeah. So it was definitely an interesting weekend for college football. That's for damn sure. Obviously the New Year's Day games were exciting all the way around. No matter how you look at it, it was exciting all the way around. But the college football playoffs, that's the bread and butter, and that's what everybody wants to talk about. And let's just say, I mean, Alabama came in and handled business. I mean, I'm a fan of the underdog, so Tom knows, and Andrew, Drew knows. I took Cincinnati because I had it kind of one of those things where I took Cincinnati. I was hoping that they would win, but if they had a good showing against Alabama, it is a big win for the program itself because it just shows to these high school recruits coming in that might have a choice between going from one college to another. Maybe Cincinnati gets brought into that equation a little bit. I mean, you guys agree, disagree?
Well, it shows that, like, as a recruit, you don't have to go to these big time programs. You know what I mean? Like, you don't always have to go. I mean, everybody wants to go to Alabama because if you go to Alabama, you're guaranteed at least one ring, maybe two.
Look at it.
But there's options.
Look at it in this regard. You go to Alabama. Are you going to see the field? And what position of the depth chart are you? You could go to a school like Cincinnati, and you're a day one starter, and I think that's
be on a competitive team, and be that competitive team,
and that's going to make a lot of kids, think twice about they're going to go into the Big 12, so they're not going to be a Power 5. But back to that game, their defense held their own. Their defense did everything they could to keep them in the game, and it just their offense, which shocked the hell out of me. I thought Desmond Ritter
nothing.
Ritter looked really, really scared out there, and hey, why wouldn't he? He's facing the biggest kids he's probably seen in his life, so they were never able to get anything rolling. But if you really look at that defense, their defense was, gave up, 17 points in the first half to Alabama. So you can't complain about that. They did their part, and I think that'll carry them, moving forward. Fickle's going to get some good kids with, just by the way they play defense.
Well, Cincinnati,
go ahead.
I mean, it's unfortunate because, I mean, the conference they play in, I mean, they won't be in there forever when they go to the Big 12, but they don't play. Their strength of schedule is so bad. And you go from playing like UAB, Louisiana Tech, whoever the hell else they play, to playing Alabama. And like you don't see that speed every week. And then you go up against that and you're just the committee knew what they were doing when they made that matchup.
No,
they did what they had to do to make sure that they got this matchup coming.
Well,
on Monday.
I think the committee proved a point because all year everybody was like, "Oh, put Cincinnati in the top 4. Cincinnati's got to be in the top 4," and that's what you got. So, I mean, where do you go from there if you're the committee and there's a group of 5 team who's undefeated over a 1-loss team from a Power 5?
You have to look at the matchup. I mean, I think that's what it boils down to. Who wants to watch? Let's face it. Both of those first games were, they were blowouts. Say what you will. They were very unentertaining, and for the college football fan, if you weren't a fan of those 4 teams, are you really tuning in? So,
no.
But then on the flip side, same old. Monday night will be the same old, and it's like, what regular fan is going to say, "Oh, the national championship game's on"? I'm going to sit down and watch it. I don't know. Because I know we've had a conversation that why. I mean, it's just another freaking national championship game with Alabama in it and Georgia, and it's just something has to be done to make them a little more competitive and get a little bit more variety. But I don't know how they're going to do that.
I mean, you could expand the playoff to 8 teams but then if you're stuck with the same 4 teams, let's say like a Michigan or an Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Clemson. I mean, so is 8 teams really going to solve anything? Because if you're stuck with the same teams at the end, it's not going to mean anything.
But so we got a comment that came in here, and we were talking about the way recruiting goes and everything like that. It's a good one here. It said, besides looking for the teams that's going to best get them to the next level, they're going to look at teams that are going to show them the money now. The name, image, and likeness is going to be very important now. Smaller schools are going to have to pony up to get 1, maybe 2 recruits.
Yeah,
and that came in. And and with that comment that comes in, we sit here and we've talked about it the last couple of weeks on how important it was for Cincinnati to come into this game and just have a showing, not necessarily win as much as I wanted.
They said that they had to look good.
They had to show to look good.
Yeah.
Okay, so they came in. They didn't do too great. They only put up 6 points. They lost by 21. Okay, cool, but still against a very strong Alabama team, holding them to 27 points is huge. But I think one of the factors of the reason, I think that Alabama, they stayed away from Bryant. If you watch the game, they weren't targeting his side of the field too much. They were kind of staying away from him. But if they would have played the entire field, I think the score might have been a little bit different, but Alabama played to the weakness. Hey, they're strong on one side, not so strong on the other side. All right, we're gonna hammer the other side. We'll leave him alone. Yeah. The running game was unstoppable, and they didn't even have to go vertical with the ball, not even at all.
Their running back
had 300. The running game had 300 and some yards. So I mean, it's absolutely crazy to think that we were talking about how that's going to, influence recruiting, but we also have to talk about how the money is going to be. And me personally, I'm not a big fan of, and I had a long conversation with a buddy of ours, a guy of the show, a friend of the show today. We were talking about that. He was a collegiate athlete, and he said, dude, I was broke. I was piss poor, broke. And he said, these kids are going to make all this money now. He goes, giving a kid $1 million, because we used a reference today that came out last night that Charlie Batch had offered Oklahoma kid
Caleb Williams
$1 million to come to EMU. He's like, that's like giving a 14-year-old kid the car keys to a Lamborghini and say, gas is on the right, there's no brake.
Well, look at Alabama's quarterback Bryce Young with that NIL, right?
Made $1 million before he took a.
He made $1 million before he ever took a snap. So NIL, I don't like NIL. I don't like transfer portal. There's damn near like 2,000 football players in the transfer portal.
Yeah,
God,
what was it, 1,400, 1,450 hit yesterday?
It's stupid. National
college football has a very big problem on their hands.
National Signing Day doesn't mean anything anymore, unfortunately.
No, not at all.
Not a thing.
Here's another comment. Be watching to see what recruits will be changing courses and enrolling into the historic black college, because they got money too. Hey. Look at that. Look at the one guy that
Travis Hunter.
He flipped from Florida State to Jackson State.
Number 2 recruit in the country.
Yeah.
Money talks.
Exactly.
And why not go play? Why not?
Money talks, and so does Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Deion Sanders is a corner. So why not go learn the trade, learn the craft from one of the greatest, if not the greatest, cornerback to ever step foot on a football field? Charles Woodson.
They said they want that kid to play both ways when he's there too.
He might have to.
I mean, it's just, but who? I mean, it's not a knock against HBCUs, but 5-10 years ago, who would have ever thought a number 1 recruit in the country would? I mean, it was always Florida State, Alabama, Texas, USC.
Who is Deion Sanders hooked up with? Barstool Sports.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
The number I heard was $5 million.
Jesus,
that kid was given to come to flop to go to Florida, to go to Jackson State.
Hey,
so,
but you know what though? The game is there now. It's all that. It's them on playing it how they want to play it. So moving on. So we talked about the Alabama game a little bit. I do want to talk about is Will Anderson, sophomore. The guy was unstoppable. I mean, he was absolutely. What he did on the blitzes to the offensive line. Actually, what he did to Cincinnati was just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. So that guy, one more year.
Did he have a chip? Did he have a chip on his shoulder? Maybe
he could have.
There were people saying he should have been at the Heisman over Aiden. I mean,
there
was that argument.
And it's a valid argument. You look at the way you saw him play against Cincinnati and what he did during the course of the season. Yeah, he deserved it, but everybody was knocking Hutchinson. But the thing is everybody like, well, he didn't have as many tackles. Well, it's not, his position is not going to get tackles like that.
No,
linebackers are going to be there.
Yeah.
A defensive end is going to benefit from having somebody else on the other side, having a good nose guard or whatever.
Well,
in that situation, Ojabo was, he was nowhere to be found, and that really played into Georgia's preparation into how they were going to handle Hutchinson. So,
you knew Georgia was watching film on Hutchinson probably every day.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you guys this question. So it was a 3-week layoff between the Big Ten championship game and then till the semifinal game. Do you think that there should be that long of a pause in between, or do you think that it should?
They need to play the next week.
The next
week or 2 weeks. The Super Bowl. Just like the Super Bowl. Have a 2-week break. That's it.
I don't think it should be the next week. I mean, find out who you're playing, where you're playing, have a week to prepare, and then play. I mean, a 3-week, almost 4-week layoff. It's stupid.
We talked about it.
No matter how much you try to like resemble a game in practice, you can't.
Well, we talked about it in the QB1 show. Momentum is everything. And Michigan had all the momentum in the world. And they play that game a week or two after the season's over. Michigan might win that game. But I think Georgia had a lot of time to sit back and really study what they did wrong against Alabama and what they could do to really minimize what Michigan offered. And kudos to Kirby Smart, if I was wearing punk. He game planned perfect for him, and the rest is history.
So some of the key takes I got out of that game was how Michigan's offensive line, they got dominated. They got absolutely dominated. Speed. They went, and it was the speed factor that killed them. Also, just outsize, out physical.
Yeah.
When you compare line to line.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Georgia's offensive line did a good job of making Aiden Hutchinson look pedestrian.
Double teams. I mean,
yeah. But here, now get this. So I think the statistics were is that Ojabo only was in about 25, 30 plays maybe. If he's such a force that you need,
he didn't play run
out of the field.
He didn't play run plays.
But
once Georgia hit that running back pass for a touchdown, kind of like what Michigan did against Iowa. Once Georgia hit that for a touchdown, I knew it was. I mean, you don't ever want to say a game's over that early, but
it was.
They game planned around how to prevent Hutchinson from being an impact, and a lot of it had to do with trickery, and the ball was in and out of Stetson Bennett's hands very quick, and they didn't have Hutchinson didn't have a chance to really get through that line, and you saw, the inability of Michigan to really get to the quarterback, which Alabama did against Georgia in the SEC championship game. And that was the difference. If you give him any bit of a time, I mean, those receivers they're talented, and
their receivers are great.
Yeah, they got open,
but now
no pressure.
If you're Georgia, not now, when?
Yeah, I mean that could be said with a lot of teams, but
on
our notes here, you said does Hutchinson's credibility, does it hurt him? And I say no, in a sense where the right team has to really pick him. And I was watching the Pat McAfee show the other day, and he made a good point. He said he needs somebody on the other end that's a dog, and he said the Cleveland Browns would be an ideal pick for Hutchinson because he's got Myles Garrett on the other side.
He needs somebody
takes
to
a lot of
compliment
pressure
him.
off. Right.
Yeah.
So
do
the Lions have that?
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No. All right. So what we saw to Michigan, mostly the second half of the game, Cade McNamara was on the bench. He was on the sidelines, and JJ came in, did fairly well. I mean, you can't really give the guy. They scored their first touchdown in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you can't sit there and say he was phenomenal or anything like that. But what does the future look like for McNamara? In my personal opinion, I still think you go with Cade McNamara next year as your starter. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. But the only reason why I say go with Cade is because I think he's done enough to earn the respect of the team. He didn't make very many mistakes turn the ball over. What do you have? 3 interceptions all year? I think 3, maybe 4.
You got to give him a chance. But
he protected the ball, and he's a great game manager.
Yeah.
But
I'll
say flip side to that. If Cade, let's hypothetically Cade starts next season and starts every game. If you're JJ, do you say, screw it, I want to go somewhere and start, and bye-bye?
He's not going anywhere. JJ McCarthy's led.
I know that, but
since he was a kid,
you could say that
he's
about
not going anywhere.
But I mean, I don't know.
No, you go into next season. You go into next season with McCarthy as your number 1, but that leash is very short. You give him the decency. You give him the decency of what he accomplished this year.
You said McCarthy. You said McCarthy.
McNamara. I'm sorry.
Okay.
McNamara.
All right.
And you give him that, but also, what happens with Harbaugh? That is going to be
he's going to the NFL.
We'll get into.
Hold on. Hey, let's get into a little bit later. We got a question that came in.
That's going to play a big role in that decision making too.
All right, so we got this question that came in, and Drew, you kind of touched on it a little bit. And the question was, if they went to an 18 playoff, should the first 2 rounds be played at the higher seeds home venue than the championship at a neutral site bowl game? I am in 100% agreement that this should happen. You want to know, and the reason why I say that is, let's just say, playing devil's advocate here. Michigan comes out and they're the number 1 seed.
Should have been Michigan.
And Alabama comes in at number 8. I want Alabama to come here in December and play a football game.
Mm-hmm.
I want Alabama to come anywhere in the north in December in the middle of a snowstorm and play a football game.
Yes, I want it anywhere north of Kentucky. I'll take it. Anywhere north of Kentucky, I'll take it. But yes, I agree 100%. I think that's the way they should do it.
First,
but it works in a couple different ways. Okay. First thing is the higher seed. When it comes to it, is revenue. Michigan. If Michigan played at home, they'd have made more revenue. If Ohio State was in the playoff, more revenue, more money for the athletic program, everything like that. Instead of having people travel to a third-party place that's owned by somebody else who's making the money off it, and they're just giving cheese crumbs to the teams itself. I think that's the way it should be.
You have to expand the playoff. I don't care what anybody says.
So let's move on. So the New Year's Day games, we kind of touched a little bit already on the Ohio State games, but one of the games that I really liked watching was the Oklahoma State Notre Dame game.
Tale of two halves.
Notre Dame came out guns blazing in the first half, guns blazing. And then they ran out of ammunition in the second half.
It looked like they were going to get a big W for their new coach, which, may I add, I heard a story about their Freeman, their new coach, who's an Ohio State grad, by the way, Drew.
Speaking of Ohio State, not to cut you off, Tom, but Ohio State got Oklahoma State's defensive coordinator.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He sucks. But anyways, his dad did not attend his first game.
No shit.
Why? Because his dad said it's just no game. He's no big deal. Why would I take time out of my day to go watch just another game? So he seems like he's a really humble guy, and I think he's the right fit for that team, and his players seem to adjust well to it. But he's got to do something different. He's got to keep that team together a little bit better than he did in that game, because Oklahoma State came out and just it was a completely different team. It was crazy. It was crazy to watch.
Well, you know what though, it was nice to see Sanders have a bounce back game after absolutely getting destroyed the week before. In the championship game there, they got absolutely just throttled.
And he didn't look good in the first half.
No, not at all. And then we got that game was good. And then Michigan State and Pitt. Michigan State really wasn't looking good at the beginning of the game. Man, that's one of the things is we've all talked about our dislike for, like I got a dislike for Ohio State and Michigan State. However, I will say Michigan State, Mel Tucker's got those guys. They got them scrapping, man. They're playing
how much of that was an inexperienced quarterback that just wasn't prepared to play the game?
I think if Kenny Pickett plays that game, maybe it's different. Maybe it's not.
It's not even close. Michigan State stayed in the game. They stayed relevant. And and I will give Mel Tucker this, when they needed to turn it up and make plays, they did. And that's a test. That's a test to good coaching and keeping your guys ready for that moment. And in what was it, the last 10 minutes of the game, they were down quite a bit, and they just started chopping away. And
that's one of the things. Hey, don't ever reference chopping, because I don't like the woodshed. I think that's I'm not a big fan of the woodshed.
What the hell does woodshed have to do with
that?
The
and Tuck coming, you could take that, and Tuck's already here. He's already came.
Yeah, Tuck coming was like the preseason hype.
Yeah, and then Ole Miss and Baylor in the Sugar Bowl. I mean, we stayed up and watched that. I mean, a very unfortunate injury.
But you know what though? I give Matt Corral all the props in the world, and because he got injured, but he played. I mean, kids
didn't opt out.
Kids aren't playing bowl games anymore because they're basically saying, well, screw it, isn't worth it. No.
Well, so he played. Did you see him on the sidelines? The emotions.
Yeah.
And he didn't take his uniform off until after the game. And fortunately for Matt Corral, it's an ankle injury. And it will not affect his draft status. He'll be able to be at the combine.
It looked like it was a knee injury right at first. We're like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, when he came out on those crutches, I knew at that point it wasn't a knee, and so good for him, and it's a testament to his loyalty to the program.
Yeah,
and he's one of a few players that get it, and it means something to him, and unfortunately they came up short, but I think they've got a pretty bright future with that kid. That was thrown in the mix, his first career at game action. He's a true freshman, and you know what? He made some big throws in the second half. So I think the Fighting Kiffins will be okay moving forward.
Tom and his isms we got going on here. All right, so let's talk the national championship game. Alabama, number 1 Alabama, number 3 Georgia. Last I saw it was a 3.5 point spread.
Wow.
I hopefully Georgia learned from its first game against them. But hold on, real quick, before we get into the national championship game, let me back up a little bit. I want to give a shout out to Central Michigan. Short notice.
Fire up, Chips.
Short notice going from Arizona to El Paso.
Fire up, Chips.
Derek, thanks for putting it in there. Derek said, let's not forget and recognize CMU for winning and traveling from Arizona to El Paso on a short notice. They had a 6 or 7 game win streak to end their season. So fire up, Chips.
Jim McElwain's got to good.
So the national championship game. So we got Alabama, Georgia. I think it's a 3.5 point spread. My stance on it all is I absolutely can't stand Nick Saban, but then on the other turn, I can't stand Kirby Smart. So, this is going to be a tough game for me to pick. I might actually have to pick logic instead of, my heart feeling. I hope they both lose. Hopefully they both get in a car accident on the way to the stadium.
Snowstorm.
But, some of the keys of the game, for me, is, I'll just say it right now, I want Georgia to win the game. I want Georgia to finally get over that hump, win their first national championship since 1980. or some crazy shit like that. So, I do want Georgia to win, but I think some of the keys for Georgia is keep the momentum going from what you had when you played Michigan. I think everything that you did against Michigan was right. You mixed it up. You did have some trickery. I don't think that the halfback swing out pass is going to work against Alabama.
No chance.
But I think that's good. Georgia's fast. They're a fast football team. What they need to do is they need to make sure that they kind of clog the middle up. Get the running backs to the outside.
Get up early too.
Yeah,
get up early.
Yeah, exactly. Win the coin toss. Take the ball. Go down and score.
Yeah.
I just and then also just continue to mix it up with the run game. I'm not a huge Stetson fan. I think he's too small for the position. He's only 5'11", and then again, Drew Brees, one of the best quarterbacks in my time, is a very short statured guy. But Drew Brees is on a whole nother level than Stetson. But
yeah,
they got to take the chance down the field. I think they really got to take the chance down the field and do it. Derek comes in and says first team to 35-point might win. So yeah, you could be right on that.
I was watching Pardon the interruption earlier.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Paul Feinbaum.
No, I was watching Pardon the Interruption earlier on ESPN, and good old Booger McFarland was saying Georgia's got the better team, but Alabama's got the better quarterback.
I don't know if I agree with that. Georgia needs to go back and watch the first 5 to 8 minutes of that SEC championship game.
They got throttled.
There was 2 possessions where Georgia looked dominating.
Yeah.
And then something clicked, whether it was Saban making adjustments on the sidelines or whatever. And I made a comment to you while we were watching that game, and I said, Alabama better be careful here because this thing could get away from them really quick. And as soon as I said that, Alabama made their move and never looked back. With that being said, I think Georgia made they had a lot of time to look and see what they did wrong in that game.
Yeah.
And to me, I think that spread's as shocking as it is. I think it's probably right on par because I think Vegas is looking at the same thing I am in a sense that they're gonna fix their mistakes, but in the end,
it ain't gonna be high scoring.
I do not trust Kirby Smart against Nick Saban.
No,
and there's some coaches that for whatever reason they just can never get over the hump, and this year will be no change, and Alabama's going to walk off the field in Indy and with yet another national championship on their face.
It'll only be their 19th.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Comment comes in and says, I think Bama has more tricks than the Dogs. Bama was a run heavy against Cincinnati. Watch them air it out early and often.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, they didn't have to throw it, like you said before. They were doing enough damage on the ground that they didn't need it. The game plan didn't call for it because they were successful.
Yeah.
So I do see Alabama going in and trying to air it out.
I can't bet against Nick Saban in a national title game. I'm sorry. As much as I want to pick Georgia, my cousin.
Unless Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback, right?
My cousin is a huge Georgia fan, and I want to pick Georgia, but Nick Saban is Nick Saban. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I got Georgia. I'm going to write this down. Tom, who you got?
I got Alabama. 37. 27. They're going to win by 10. 37-27.
Drew?
Oh my! I got Alabama 37-20.
Yeah, a lot of 37s, huh?
I see. Georgia's got a good offense, but Bama's defense is I don't know.
It'll be close for 3 quarters, and then I think Alabama pulls away.
Yeah.
In the fourth.
I think
I got Georgia 45-42.
Imagine being like Bryce Young. Like you make millions of dollars in an NIL, you win an SEC title, you could win a national title. It's a hell of a freshman year.
Yep.
Like my God.
Hey, can you guys translate this next comment on the board for me real quick?
Vom Ung.
No idea.
Ung. That's
Whatever that
Russian.
means.
That's Russian for what the
they're watching on YouTube, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, our sock guy hasn't been on, has he?
No. Let's see here. He might be on because we do got somebody on there from the Twitch. So.
Hey, sock guy, if you're on, what color socks are you wearing tonight?
Yeah, exactly. So, so let's move on to the NFL. So, week 18 coming up here this weekend. The Pontiac Pussycats are playing Green Bay. Green Bay already has the
NFC wrapped up.
They already have the NFC wrapped up. So you're going to probably see
MVP.
You're going to see Jordan Love. You're not going to see anybody. You're going to see the backups.
Funny story. Sorry, Rich. Aaron Rodgers made comment Tuesday on Pat's show about the game that Green Bay played Detroit several years ago. What was it? Matt Flynn?
Yeah.
Threw for like 7 touchdowns, threw for like 500-600 yards. And he goes, my boy Matty Flynn made millions off that game. and I had to laugh. So
it was true.
Yeah.
So we got that. This also, week 18 is going to be ending the 18-year career of Roethlisberger.
Big Ben.
What was he? The 7th overall out of Miami of Ohio?
Ohio, yeah.
Hey, plot twist.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Was that the same? That was the same draft as Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers, correct?
And Phillip Rivers, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Big Ben's going to come back next year.
No, he's done.
No. You think so?
He can't throw the ball.
And then you got another thing that came out. Mike Tomlin. We had 15 straight winning seasons.
Yeah.
In a row.
He doesn't get any credit. Yep. He doesn't. He's one of the greatest coaches ever, and he gets no credit whatsoever. None. It's a shame.
Well,
I read something today that somebody Baker Mayfield tweeted out something or whatever. He wasn't too happy with one of the Browns beat reporters about saying that
saying they want to get rid of him.
Yeah, him and Stefanski, one of them's going to have to go, and this, that, and the other, and he pretty much.
Well, if anyone's followed Cleveland Browns Twitter, which I know you guys probably haven't, Baker Mayfield is probably the least liked athlete in Cleveland. It comes down to like in Detroit. What's the 2 hardest positions in Detroit sports? The goalie for the Red Wings and the starting quarterback for the Lions. Baker Mayfield can do no right in Cleveland, and I think a lot of it stems from his commercials, and a lot of it's about him.
Well, that's a tough fan base.
So hold on. So this is the tweet that was sent out today by Mary Kay Shabbat. Baker Mayfield must resolve his differences with Kevin Stefanski soon in case they need to coexist next season. Also, some names that will be on the radar if they don't. He replies back to her. He just replies back, clickbait. You and many other Cleveland local media continue to be drama-stirring reporters with no source or facts. Don't put words in my mouth so you can put food on your table. I'm not your puppet. Hey, you know what? Fucking kudos to you, man.
Yep. Here's the thing. Thing with Baker. Baker Mayfield probably should have sat out from week 5 on. He's on one arm. He's got ribs. He's got a hip. He's got a knee. He's going to have surgery. And the quote was immediately after the season's over. Baker Mayfield was playing because he's prideful. He was doing his damnedest. And if I'm putting a team together, I want guys like that on my team because they're going to go out and battle every week no matter what. I think he tore his labrum. He sat out one drive and he was back in. So you can't judge this season with Baker Mayfield. And I don't think it's fair. And I think the Cleveland Browns understand that by picking up his option for next year. And I think they see it the same way because the guy wasn't healthy at all.
We got a lot of Baker stuff going on here. So Derek said the marriage is over with the Browns. Fools to get rid of him. He'll be in a Giants uniform in 22-23.
You know where I heard? You know where I heard that would be a good fit for him? And my dad would roll over.
Cincinnati.
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Or Pittsburgh.
I've heard that, yeah.
Pittsburgh would love to have him.
Coach Pat's in there.
Amen to that one, too, yeah.
Detroit.
I'd take him.
Well, hasn't Cleveland had how many freaking starting quarterbacks have they had recently?
Like 23. I think it's 23 since they were, reinstalled in the NFL, starting with Tim Couch.
They had, Josh McCown at one point?
It's crazy. But, I think Cleveland in general, they've been very unfair. The fan base has been unfair.
That's one of the toughest fan bases in football, I think.
Yeah. And now his problem is his wife's kind of getting in the middle of it, just like Kelly Stafford did here. So his wife is kind of defending him, which, do you want your wife defending you on social media? It kind of makes you look even worse. But
no,
I think he gets another chance. And is he worth a mega year contract? Not right now.
No, but
you can't judge anything by what you saw on the field this year. But
if you're Cleveland and you say he's not the answer, then who in God's name do you go out and get? I mean, there's no one really. This is not a good quarterback class for the draft. So who are you going to get to replace Baker?
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, Jesus.
He'd fit a Stefanski offense beautifully. Kirk Cousins. Hey, hate the guy.
Kirk Cousins.
He's one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the NFL. But
you like that
for Stefanski, I mean, there's quarterbacks out there. Cleveland runs a system based on their running game, and I think they probably had 4 or 5 games all year where their running backs were 100% healthy. So
that's why I'll say
next year will be a big test.
That's why I'll say the Lions, for people who don't like Jared Goff, who in the hell are you going to go out and get then? I mean, stick with Goff for another year.
Baker Mayfield.
I'd love Baker, but that would
Will Cleveland take offers? Will they listen to offers? Oh,
that's also going to be a pretty high.
Now, real quick here, did you guys see some of the speculation people are saying about the Texans moving up in the draft? There was something that came out, move up to the Lions pick, and they were going to just give them a boatload of picks. I was like, that.
No,
you guys are just talking. You guys are talking stupid. All right, so let's move on. We got maybe about one more topic to cover before we hit it. But the big hot rumor right now in the state of Michigan is the state of the Wolverines football leadership.
Harbaugh is bye-bye.
Well, there's a relationship between the Davis family and Harbaugh's. There is a mutual, we'll say, they like him, and Harbaugh is intrigued by that. I also would believe Harbaugh would be intrigued with the Bears, having a quarterback you can really develop, and he's the quote-unquote quarterback guru. But
Fields, yeah.
If there was ever a time for a move to be made, and you know what, and I'll quote JP on this one, the Giant, he's all for it. Good for him. He got him where they needed to be. He put him back on the top in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Let's move on. And from the reaction that Harbaugh gave after the game, I think this might be the actual time that he jumps. He's got value again.
I'm sure he's
he's got interest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he's coming off like a 3 or 4 loss season and he didn't do anything and then he's trying to go to the NFL. I mean, This is what Michigan wanted out of Harbaugh from day one, and they never got it. So,
I mean, and then if that happens, do they stay in house?
yeah, I would be intrigued to see who they get.
Do they keep the OC? Do they keep him and move him up?
Josh Gaddis is pretty appealing to me.
If in going back to my comment earlier, if Josh Gaddis becomes the head coach of Michigan football, Cade McNamara will not be in the plans. It will be J.J. McCarthy because Josh Gaddis runs the speed and space, whatever, which they showed hits and misses of it, but McCarthy is the perfect quarterback to run that type of offense. He can take off running, he can run an RPO, and he's got a cannon for an arm. So I think if Gaddis is your head coach, J.J. McCarthy is your quarterback.
Well, I also think, hypothetically, if Harbaugh is back next year, because the first 2-3 games of the year, Michigan really plays nobody. So let the quarterback split reps. I mean, or let one start a game, let another one start a game, and see how you do. And then once you start getting into Big Ten play and start playing some teams, then you'll have your answer, I think.
I think Michigan's in a good position right now. If Harbaugh was to leave, I think they'd be okay.
Yeah.
I think they've got the right coaches in place for the long haul. That recruiting will continue. With Gaddis, I think you might be able to pull some SEC kids that you wouldn't necessarily get with Harbaugh because Harbaugh is going to be persistent on running, a pro-style type of offense. So with Gaddis at the helm, I think that gives them a little bit more ability to compete with the SEC in that regard. But I think they'll be in a good position, and my heart tells me he's going to go, but we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Okay.
Well,
cool.
It'll be hard to turn down that money.
And they're going to throw it at him.
Oh, yeah.
And he adjusted his contract so they don't have a buyout. He can walk away right now and it won't cost the university a dime. So I think that probably was in discussions coming into the last year when they, he re-signed a contract that, if the right job comes calling, you know what, I might take it. And I think the university gave him, their respect and probably decided to, on both sides, him not requesting to have a buyout and them not doing a buyout. So it's the right time. And I think that the university is in a good place that they'll be able to recover pretty quickly.
Yeah. Cool. Well, hey, we're up at time right now, but hey, it was a good show.
Great show.
A lot of good information. Definitely look forward to catching up next week, probably around the same time to talk about we'll talk about the recap of the national championship game. We'll talk about
set up the playoffs.
By that time, we'll know what the play.
Wild card weekend.
We'll have the super wild card and everything like that going, and then we'll be able to talk a little bit about Black Monday. See who's getting chopped on Monday or Tuesday from the NFL head coaching positions. There might be some more opening up. So,
kudos to Mr. Jasper on the new graphics. They look great.
Yeah, they look really nice.
Nice job.
Awesome.
Yeah,
him and Kevin, coming in strong.
So that right there that's all me right now. So he's working on some stuff too. But when it was up there at the beginning of the show, it was all me, and nice. We had a pre-year discussion about maybe trying to jazz things up a little bit, and that's what we're going to try to do. So
looked really nice.
Cool. On that note, guys, it's been real and everything like that. Stay on after we cut out. So
later.
See you guys. We'll see you.
Like, subscribe, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitter,
over there.
Yeah, Twitter's down there, everything like that, and we'll definitely be we'll be in touch. So take care.